that's why I think it's valued to have somebody with the experience I've had in the last 3.5 years, and the desire to make changes. It's been awfully hard to do that without the right mix of commissioners.
Okay,
So,
does the Corporation Commission, are they in charge of the nuclear power, and what about the mining?
no, we're not in charge of mining nuclear. Only in citing where the plant is, and then deciding what rates on the retail side for Arizona companies, because there are companies that own nuclear, or there are other entities that own nuclear with Arizona Public Service and Salt River Project out at Palo Verde. But our responsibility, for instance, in a new nuclear facility, would be siting that plant, uh, and frankly, we're looking at needing more nuclear in the next 10, 15 years, more like closer in the middle between 10 and 15. But that siting process is so long that our part of the commission is actually getting our arms around it for Arizona. In other words, saying that the Arizona Corporation Commission supports it, so whoever's going to go out and build that plant can go out and finance it, with the finance folks knowing that the state of Arizona endorses nuclear and wants it to happen, because they need to have that security. Now, we don't regulate nuclear, the nuclear power plant once it's up and going. That's done by that's a federal organization, a national. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, is the ones that do that. Like if there's a problem out there, they're the ones to investigate it. Matter of fact, NRC has full-time people on site at every nuclear plant in the country, always.
Well,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I think we're lucky that we live in Arizona, and thank God we don't live in Iran, huh?
You're right.
Now, let me ask you something. I've referred to Obama's Greening America program on my show many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I think his idea of greening America is to sell the top of that mountain over there to a foreign corporation so they can put up wind towers, kill a few eagles, and then pipe the electricity back down the hill to the power company and sell it to us.
Well,
is that accurate? And now my idea. Let me throw this in here, and then I'll get you to respond to it.
Well, first of all, let me say you're right, but give me the rest part, and I'll go back.
The rest of it is my idea of greening America is to have the corporation put its foot down on the neighborhood association, so homeowners in a block could get together, put wind generators up on their roof, put solar up on their roof, and possibly a magnetic generator in the garage, and dig the backyard up and put a garden in, so we don't have to be absolutely dependent on supermarkets in a coming depression. And that's my idea of greening America, making Americans more independent, more self-sufficient, and allowing them to use the energy God gave us from the wind or the sun.
Well, in Arizona, we and I should write these things down, so don't let me forget something that you asked me. But in Arizona,
okay,
we have passed laws so that the HOAs are prohibiting solar. They used to do that, but those are non-existent now. Now, wind turbines on a house, I think that would be a problem for a lot of neighborhoods. I think that a lot of, because not only are they a little bigger, but you can hear them. You can hear those things turning. So I think that would be a problem in a lot of neighborhoods. Gardens, most people can have. I've had plenty of gardens, and those work. And I think you're right. I think people ought to grow their own food just because I think we're headed towards some difficult economic times. I think we're in difficult economic times now. What do you experience hyperinflation? For those of us who, I lived in Sierra Vista during the Carter years, and that was a challenge. Watching interest rates. Those of us who ran businesses and the interest rates we had. So I think that we ought to have gardens. We ought to have. We ought to be more self-reliant. Those are great. And energy. Having energy where we have a greater distributed energy in our neighborhoods is one way to do that as well.
Well, we could sell if somebody puts solar, or I mean, there's all kinds of wind generators. They don't have to necessarily be that. They can be the spiral kind. They don't make any noise at all. And these
Did I lose you?
No, we can sell this energy back to the power companies now. I mean, actually turn a profit possibly if we're frugal on our energy use. Isn't that existing?
Well, and you can do. That's a net metering program that people can do. But and I don't know how many folks will be able to do that. I suspect that if you have solar on your roof. I mean, down here in the valley, because of the ambient temperature, we often don't get as much output from photovoltaic as we'd like. The U of A has actually done studies on that, and the higher altitudes are a little bit better. So my guess is that in most cases, we won't sell a lot of our power back to the utilities. We'll basically be using it unless we're not in our homes in the summer, and we can shut things down pretty much. Because I think someone who goes into their mountain cabin for the summer and has solar will be selling a lot of solar back to the utility. But that's where I think there's a real payoff for people.
Okay, what other problems are we facing here in this country, in Arizona? And by the way, the feds are trying to put Bill S-510 in, which the Food Safety Act, which effectively prevents you from putting a garden in your backyard. But we've got the illegal situation here too. We've got the illegal. Barry Wong addressed that. He wanted to do something from the Corporation Commission about it. We've got the law, and the federal government is suing us. That's a little hard for me to understand. They're suing us to prevent us from enforcing a federal law. Can you explain that to me a little better?
Well, and I'm not sure just what you're talking about, but you brought up Obama and you brought up Barry Wong, and I wanted to get to both.
Okay.
Let's talk about Obama's energy plan for just a moment, because that is at issue when you started talking about how he wants to sell energy. Well, the reality is what Obama's energy plan, it surrounds carbon trading, the trading of carbon credits, and it's a finance scheme. We don't know the people he's trying to make wealth for. They're somewhere else, but we're the ones with the money that he wants us to pay for it in our rate. Obama, when he ran for the presidency, said your rates under my energy program, your rates will necessarily skyrocket. That last part is exactly out of his mouth. So if rates are going to necessarily skyrocket, what he means is, and now let me give you down in Tucson, because we know those numbers. Right now, to capture all the carbon dioxide he wants, or to change it, because in Tucson Electric Power owns 84% of what they own in power is coal-fired generation, coming from north and northeastern Arizona. Coal-fired generation, and what that means to folks in Tucson is you'll have a 250%.
Oh my gosh, this is a death.
Hold on.
Oh, and they're capris.
What happened
That's
here?
Cute. Those are absolute must-haves.
Hang on a second.
Definitely. Oh, we have so much stuff. I think we.
I'm sorry.
Well, what would have been factored, and these were numbers for 2 or 3 years ago, and I think possibly they've gone up, but we factored a national study factor that in TEP's territory, rates would go up 260%. So if you can imagine everybody